Hi guys, welcome to Not So Nerdy channel. We are on our 18th question from NeetCode150. It's called valid parenthesis. So given a string S containing just the characters opening brace, closing brace, opening curly braces, closing curly braces, opening square bracket and closing square bracket, you have to determine if the input string is valid. So an input string is valid if open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Open brackets must be closed in the correct order. Every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So here are the examples to understand it. So in the first input, you have both the bracket of the same type and they're closing each other. So it's returning true. Then we have another input and that they are also of same type. So it's again returning a true. But here you have the different types. So it's returning a false. So for this, how are we going to solve the question, right? So let's try to understand. Suppose you have this. Suppose you have all the opening brackets on the one side. So the next time you get a closing bracket, you see that it's making a complete pair. So you just remove it. Okay. Then you bring in another element from the string. And if that's closed, then the element which is there at the top and this one, they make a pair. So you again remove it. And similarly, like if both of them, the next two elements are of this type, all the brackets are successfully closed and your string is valid, right? So each time we are checking the topmost or the lastmost element of a list or whatever. So I think if you have gone through my previous video, you'll know that it's something similar to stack. So we have to check whether they have their corresponding pair or not, and if they have, we just simply pop it out and check for the next element, and we pop that out and check for the next element. If it's not the same, if it's something like this, then it's not going to be a correct string. Okay, great. So how are we going to solve this question? We are going to use stack for this, of course. So let's see. You have a stack called stack. Um, okay. Then now for bracket. Now you have bracket in string S. So you just take the first element. And if that bracket is in any of these categories, if it's an opening bracket, or if it's a curly opening bracket, or if it's a square opening bracket, you will simply append it in your stack dot append bracket. Okay, if your bracket is suppose a closing one, okay, now if a bracket is a closing one, we have to check whether our stack is empty or not first. So if not stack, okay, if it is empty, like the stack is not there, so if not stack, if it is empty, or the stack's topmost element, how were we accessing it? We were using the -1 to access the topmost element. So if stack -1 index is not equal to the bracket which like it's if it's not a, see here we are having a closing bracket, so if it's not an opening bracket, then it won't be a valid, right? So if stack -1 not equal to an opening bracket, we will return false. I hope you understood this. Okay. Here we are going to compare the topmost element of a stack with the current element which is there. So our current element is this, suppose. So for this bracket to be valid, you have to have an opening bracket for it. And if it's not there, then you will simply return false. Or if the stack does not exist, you will return false. So in both the cases, you have to return false, that no, it's not a valid stack. It is not a valid stack, okay? Otherwise, if it is valid, you will simply pop the topmost element with this, okay? Great. Now, similarly, we have to check for the other brackets. So elif bracket, I'm simply going to, right? So if it's a curly closing bracket, you'll check if it's not stack or if it's not an opening curly brace, you'll return false. Otherwise, you'll like pop the bracket. And similarly for your square bracket. So it is using the same principle for all the three cases, for all the three types of brackets. And finally, we will return not of stack. So in the end, we have to return the not of stack. Okay. So if stack is true, not of stack will be false. It means it will return false. If stack is false, not of stack will be true. Means the stack does not exist in the end. And that's what we want. We want our stack to be empty. It should be valid. All the elements should be popped out successfully, right? So you want that your stack should be empty. That is why you are returning a not stack in the end, because you have passed all the cases, okay? So I hope this is a clear, it clarifies your doubts. Okay. So you can check this solution again and ask me your doubts. Yeah, thank you.